Hey guys, tonight we're embarking on a little journey back to a mind-boggling era when Neanderthals roamed the earth. Picture this. You're cozied up in your favorite corner of the couch, bundled under blankets with a mug of something warm. Outside, the rain softly taps a rhythm on your window, and your dog sighs contentedly beside you, a warm ball of fur. It's the perfect setting for our story. You probably won't survive this wild history nugget. But then again, that's the fun part, right? Before you get too comfy, feel free to tap like or subscribe. But only if you're genuinely enjoying the calm around here. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is over there. I love seeing how far this sleepy little journey reaches. Now, go ahead and lower the lights. Maybe let a fan hum in the background, and let's drift gently into tonight's story together. You wake up, nestled in a dimly lit cave. The air cool and moist, enveloped in a surreal quiet that makes it almost feel like the ancient walls themselves are breathing. Imagine it's a crisp Ice Age morning, and Neanderthals around you are stirring from their slumber. They stretch, shake off dreams of mammoth hunts and starry nights, and groggily ponder if today's the day to invent their version of fuzzy socks. Honestly, with an imagination like theirs, anything seems possible. So here's the wild part. Neanderthals were not these grunting, knuckle-dragging ancestors we've often pictured. Think of them more like nature's own Renaissance species. Physically robust with those deep-set eyes that made them look like they were always pondering life's next big mystery. Their brains, just as large as ours, sometimes bigger, like the unexpected update you didn't think your phone could handle. This means they were quite the thinkers. You might be wondering how on earth anyone could survive those chilling temperatures. Well, this is where you imagine Neanderthals as unwilling participants in history's ultimate polar plunge challenge. They adapted incredibly well to the cold by mastering fire and fashioning hefty garments from animal skins. Maybe somewhere, a Neanderthal invented the first version of a snuggly onesie, silently becoming the ancient trendsetter of cave couture. Now, historians still argue whether Neanderthal communities were small or sprawling. Were they cozy little tribes, sticking together under the weight of woolly mammoth blankets? Or did they form vast networks, roaming like nomadic explorers, but always returning to the hearth's warmth? It's the kind of debate you might have with a friend over coffee, zooming out from your reality just enough to let the imagination run wild. Okay, so here's a quirky tidbit for you. Neanderthals had these really powerful gripping hands, far stronger than ours today. Imagine if they lived now. Think of them casually opening that dreaded jar of pickles on the first try. You know, the one that makes you question your gym routine? Picture a Neanderthal, grinning at your struggle, then popping the lid like it's no big deal. Historians, much like us, are still piecing together the everyday life of these freaks of nature. What do they talk about? Probably not replying LOL to emails they never even thought to check. Did they have long, drawn-out conversations under the stars? Or was it a quick exchange of grunts and smirks? These questions linger like dots of light as our thoughts drift, just tapping our curiosity enough to stay awake a little longer. As you slowly close your eyes, let your mind wander through that dimly lit Neanderthal cave, imagining the crackle of a fire and the subtle, earthy scent of damp moss underfoot. Our story is just beginning, and the twists and turns of history, tinged with mystery and warmth, will unfold like a soft quilt wrapping around you in the night. You wander deeper into the heart of the cave, where the shadows dance along the rough stone walls, flickering like the glow of fairy lights strung across your bedroom. In this cozy enclave, Neanderthals begin their day, and you can't help but be curious about what their morning routine looked like. Did they have their version of setting 5 alarms, only to ignore them all? Or was waking up to a mammoth call more effective than any snooze button? Neanderthals, it turns out, were quite the trendsetters in their time. Imagine this. They were one of the first to figure out that walking upright was the cool thing to do, leaving quadrupedal life in the dust. They had a unique gait, sure, but it got them places. It's like being the first kid on your block to figure out rollerblades. Sure, you wobble at first, but then you're zooming past everyone else with the wind in your hair, feeling like anything is possible. Here's a delightful little fact. Did you know the Neanderthal nose was adapted for cold climates? Their noses were like nature's very own thermal mug, doing more than just looking cool. They helped warm and humidify the air as they breathed. Picture them walking out of their caves, noses to the wind, ready to face the day. Historians have been fascinated by this, still debating if their nasal passages gave them an edge in survival or were merely the prehistoric version 1.0 of nature's quirky design experiments. You can't help but chuckle thinking about how Neanderthal fashion might have looked. They were master tailors of hides and pelts, the type who would have thrived in today's DIY fashion circles. You imagine modern Neanderthals perhaps weaving elaborate tales on TikTok about their creation techniques with a smirk, casually rebranding vogues like Ice Age chic or mammoth casual. But let's not forget, with great skill came intense curiosity. Neanderthals weren't just survival experts, they were explorers of ideas. They were pioneers in a way, sculpting tools from stone, chipping away at history itself every time they carved a blade or hammer. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals were the sole creators of some of these tools, or if they borrowed a page from the Homo sapiens at the time. It's like sharing Netflix passwords. You're not sure who started the trend, but everyone loves to partake. And honestly, here's a quirky thought to picture. Neanderthals did have a sweet tooth. Literally. Analysis from fossilized teeth suggests they may have enjoyed a sweet nibble now and then. You can almost see it, can't you? A Neanderthal baking session, gathering grains, or sweet honey from beehives, crafting the earliest proto-cookies of existence. Not exactly Postmates, but hey, creativity counts. So, as you cozy deeper into your blankets, think of how those ancient mornings got off the ground. Emerge into the day with purpose. The Neanderthals surely did, eyes set on the tasks ahead. Their life, though primitive in our eyes, was painted with hues of innovation and discovery that sang against the silence of nature's vast expanse. As the fire of their morning warms the ancient stones around you, you feel the blend of history and hearth swirling together like daydreams and memory. The narrative begins to whisper, carrying the scent of distant fires and the soft rustling of ancient leaves busy in the wind. Inviting you along for the ride, you step outside the cave into a vast world that feels both familiar and utterly alien. The morning sun is shy, peeking through heavy clouds, and the air is bristling with the kind of crispness that makes your ears tingle. The Ice Age version of that first sip of morning coffee. Imagine a world where every breath is a reminder of nature's sheer magnitude, where Neanderthals greet both the chill and the possibility of the new day like an old friend. The landscape stretches out in tones of gray and white, like someone pressed mute on the earth. You wander through this monochrome world, listening to the crunch of frost underfoot and the echo of distant animal calls. It's this expansive silence that makes you ponder. Did Neanderthals ever feel alone out here in the vast, icy nothingness? Or did they find comfort in the company of their intimate communities, sharing stories under the starlit canvas each night? Here's an intriguing fact. These guys were not only adept hunters, but ace gatherers too, zigzagging across harsh terrain to collect fruits and nuts in a primal game of scavenger hunt. Their diet was far more diverse than any paleo diet fad, including surprises like fish and bird. Imagine them as hardcore foodies, swapping tips on the best berry picking spots or debating the merits of a crispy rodent roast. Move over, Master Chef. Now, you've got to laugh at the image of Neanderthals gathering around their evening fire after a successful gathering expedition, swapping stories and perhaps the prehistoric equivalent of memes, maybe in the form of carved symbols that to them were as entertaining as watching endless cat videos online is to us today. Historians still ponder how these storytelling sessions influenced Neanderthal culture. Did they have mythologies and legends passed down through generations? Or was it all practical tips on tracking mammoths and where to find the tastiest mushrooms? The debate is as persistent as scrolling through conspiracy theories when you should be asleep, and just as likely to keep you wondering. Speaking of wondering, here's a quirky tidbit to tickle your imagination. Neanderthals had a particular fondness for feathers. Yes, they decorated themselves with the vibrant plumes of birds, perhaps as adornments or symbolic trinkets. Think about it. Building their version of Instagram-worthy outfits, flexing their feathery swag to impress, or perhaps just to feel a little extra on an otherwise grayscale day. And perhaps this simple act of decorating with feathers sparks one of mankind's oldest tendencies, the need for creativity, self-expression, and perhaps even a touch of vanity. Historians scratching their heads at these found trinkets have often wondered, were these merely for show, or did they hold deeper meaning? Hidden messages whispered through time. As the Neanderthals retreat to the warmth and safety of their caves, you draw a deep breath of the cold air, letting it fill your lungs with a vitality that's almost primordial. The world around you feels bigger and more mysterious, but at the same time, incredibly intimate, like a shared secret between you and this ancient earth. The stories of Neanderthals and the rhythm of their daily life cradle your thoughts in gentle waves, as comforting as the soft hum of the fridge late at night. Drifting with the evening breeze, you feel the layers of history brushing softly against the edges of your consciousness, weaving you into the tapestry of time, snugly tucked away in the quiet embrace of this ancient, frost-kissed world. As the day stretches on, you find yourself wandering through a landscape that seems both endless and intimately contained. Every step feels like you're flipping the page of an ancient dusty book, stories unfolding with each footfall on the frost-rimed ground. There's warmth in this chill, a whisper of connection to those Neanderthals who walked here long before any road maps or destiny apps plotted paths across screens. Imagine stumbling upon a group of Neanderthal families nestled in a valley, their dwellings echoing the shape of the land, snug against the cold. Family, here is everything. A bound hub around which the world spins. You can't help but think of modern-day family gatherings, cozy yet chaotic, sometimes like an episode from a sitcom, complete with comedic misadventures and heartfelt moments. In the heart of this community, there's a camaraderie that feels timeless. Conversations arise in the rhythmic offbeat of grunts and gestures, a kind of prehistoric poetry that defies our understanding. Were these exchanges as vibrant and nuanced as a social media feed, or more akin to shouting across a busy room just to be heard over the din of life? Here's a looping speculation fold. Historians still argue over whether Neanderthals had a fully developed language. Did they have words to express love, hope, boredom, the whole glorious palette of what it means to be alive? Or was it all grunts and hand signals, expressing complex ideas in a simple yet profound way? It's like those moments when a single glance speaks volumes, when an emoji sums up an entire sentence. Another quirky thought pops up as you imagine these ancient homes. Communal fire pits serve as the backdrop for gatherings, much like a modern kitchen island. These fires were the true heart of Neanderthal life, the original open-plan living space, really. Around them, they cooked, socialized, and even perhaps gossiped about that one hunter who always told tall tales. An interesting fact emerges from the coals of this collective hearth. The archaeological record shows that Neanderthals sometimes lived alongside early Homo sapiens. It raises the tantalizing question: how did these distinctly different human species interact? Were there block parties, friendly or fierce game nights with stone dice? Or perhaps a bit of quiet neighborly rivalry over who had the best burial practices? The idea of Neanderthals conducting funeral rites is one of those little-known tidbits that makes you pause. Some evidence suggests they buried their dead with care, possibly with trinkets or wreaths of flowers. It suggests a depth of emotion and belief, an early reverence for life and the mysteries that lie beyond the horizon of mortality. As the shadows lengthen beneath the icy sun, the storytelling at the fireside winds on, spilling tales older than the stars above. In that flickering light, it feels like anywhere and nowhere, a shimmering line between then and now, where laughter mingles softly with the susurration of stories, each one an echo of human connection. Gradually, as the fire slows its dance, the evening wraps itself around you like a whispered tale, and the past melts away into the deep currents of sleep. You find yourself cocooned in warmth, lost in ancient dreams, interwoven with the present, where every visit to the past feels like slipping into a favorite old sweater, familiar, comforting, and so inviting that you never want to leave. Letting the warmth envelop you, the dialogue of ancient lives settles into a soft murmur, as tranquil as the sound of a fan's steady hum. You're left to drift through the layers of history, wrapped up in a time that was once, and perhaps still is, quietly pulsing beneath the fabric of now. The night air drapes around you like a soft, dark velvet, and you find yourself immersed in the lulling embrace of an ancient world, where every sound is a faint heartbeat of history. As sleep begins to dust your eyelids, the scene shifts, and you venture deeper into the twilight of time, accompanied by the gentle whispers of your Neanderthal hosts. Let's imagine you're in a room filled with aroma and light, the Neanderthals' canvas of creativity. You stumble upon the artists of this bygone era, their cave walls an ancient gallery of expression. Forget bustling art fairs or minimalist gallery openings. This was visceral, hands-on art, literally. Their fingers left marks and impressions upon stone, enigmas of paint and ochre that endure as whispers from beyond time? Did they celebrate a good hunt with swirling lines and handprints? Perhaps they imparted lessons in survival through their art, tales etched into walls like prehistoric tweets. A moment immortalized with a flick of the wrist, a ripple of creativity in the endless stretch of time. Here's a curious thought. Some historians think Neanderthals might have used bird bones as early paintbrushes. Imagine them in their studio caves, playfully flicking hues across the wall, possibly even indulging in an ancient equivalent of splatter art. Creative chaos immortalized in the rock, their version of abstract expressionism long before modern art critics had ever raised an eyebrow. Historians still argue whether these visual masterpieces were purely symbolic or something closer to spiritual. Were they dreaming aloud? Or was it all just a bit of ancient DIY fun? The debate swirls on, like the curious paths your mind takes at 3 a.m. when you're up Googling how to tell if a cat's love bite will actually leave a scar. As you drift further into this artistic sanctuary, you can almost hear the echoes of excitement mixed with the quiet contemplation of those who stood before these images. To them, it perhaps felt like leaving a piece of themselves behind, a signature in the annals of time, a private thought suddenly public and enduring. Yet even in their ardor, the Neanderthals remind you of quiet days spent doodling in notebooks, your own scraps of creativity lining the margins. As it turns out, the urge to create transcends time, a golden thread that binds the human spirit in a tapestry filled with colors both vivid and subtle. And now you're being guided back to the present, the gentle pull of reality slowly reclaiming you, yet leaving a soft trail of memory across your mind. The flickers of Neanderthal imagination lull you into a dream-softened state, lingering like firefly glow under a twilight sky. With thoughts twined between then and now, the symbols fade into the shadows of the cave as sleep seeps in like a rising tide, bringing with it visions of whispered stories and long-lost echoes. It's a cozy embrace of forgotten worlds, gently cradling you until the stir of morning light. The night carries you further along its quiet river, and as you drift through the landscape of dreams, the world of the Neanderthals envelops you in its gentle embrace. You sense the passage of time, not in hours, but in the soft rustle of leaves, swaying in a nocturnal breeze. Here, nestled deep in history,